Recording in progress.
All right.
Welcome to Drawing Hive.
John, how dare you interrupt the intro song.
I know. I forgot. I was like, wait, we have an intro. All right. Hey, everybody. Welcome to Drawing Hive. Just as a reminder, Drawing Hive is brought to you by Visual Arts Passage. Visual Arts Passage is a group of really good artists that deliver mentorships for resources to develop careers in illustration and in the fine arts world. In fact, Cassandra and I teach a class together with Raymond Benia in a fine arts program. It's all about developing to work in the industry. So that said, thank you for being here. Hope you're ready to draw. We have some fun reference tonight. Tonight we are drawing Alien Romulus, and there's some very cool reference here. Starting. Well, you can use any one of these. You can start anywhere you want. We're going to do 3 poses, 2 20-minute poses, and 1 40-minute pose. If you want to try to do all 4, that's great. Timmy, do you know all of the characters in this?
I haven't seen it, but I'm excited to see it.
Yeah.
It's all. I mean, I know the Xenomorph, which is I did the math. I think Xenomorph is the most featured character on Drawing Hive other than Christopher.
Really? That's
Yeah.
pretty amazing.
This is Xenomorph's 3rd appearance on Drawing Hive.
All right.
It's because it's so fun to draw. I've always enjoyed doing it, but I don't know that I'm going to do Xenomorph tonight because I've painted it multiple times.
Yeah. Well, I guess we're ready. Cassandra,
we are ready.
You got a piece of blank cardboard there. I've been drawing for about
Ready to go.
10 or 12 minutes, waiting to get set up, and we're ready to go.
All right, everybody, the hashtags tonight, which please share your work with us throughout the night, because we want to check it out. So share your work with us on Instagram. We're going to share it on the show. The hashtags for tonight are Romulus Hive, hashtag Drawing Hive, and Visual Arts Passage. Definitely share it. Don't do it like all at the last minute because it generally just doesn't show up on Instagram that fast. But we're going to check it out and it's going to be fun. And we also, this is the OG Drawing Hive crew tonight. Pretty exciting. No guests.
It's just Cassandra and I drawing.
Yes. No guests tonight, but there will be a guest next week. We've got it lined up, or we're in the process of lining it up. So, but I like a core. I like the old school episode throwback. I think we're going to do this every once in a while. Yeah, we're going to do this every once in a while. It depends on how we're going to do the, you know what, the episode, you'll be able to tell how busy I am when there is no guest on Drawing Hive. Yeah. So what's everybody working with tonight?
Oh, I'm acrylic on cardboard that I treated with GAC, so it looks shiny because it's got the GAC on it. But yeah, it's just cardboard.
Mm-hmm. Nice.
John, how about you?
I'm drawing in pastel tonight.
Nice.
This is kind of fun. I you know what, I was like looking at this, and it's like drawing cowboy hats and helmets, and man, they're a pain in the butt to draw. But I started drawing it and I was like, oh, this is a really good drawing challenge, just trying to lay it in, get everything close to being right. I'm not going, obviously, especially with pastel, I'm not going to get into too much hard edge detail on anything, but it really is a proportional challenge. And that Cassandra and I can talk about this, that it serves the way that Cassandra and I work really well, because we identify the shape of things first. And, when I first started this, the most important thing was to get that head fitting in this, close to this oval shape, but then you look at all the intricate framing to that helmet, and it requires some real thought to be pretty accurate with it.
I was gonna ask because when I was looking at the reference, I don't know that we've ever talked about this before, but trying to give the appearance of a transparent um like object, like the what do you call that, not the face mask but
The glass helmet
the
part,
glass helmet. What do you do to capture that?
it's just getting the value, uh,
Yeah,
values of things correct.
But
really,
also, I basically ignore it till the end.
Right,
really.
yeah, absolutely. And that's just like, you kind of look, I mean, bad pun here, you're kind of looking through it, just look past it and then bring in the highlights uh, at the end when you need them.
If you're working in true pure watercolor, you're going to need to maintain your highlights. So like you can block that space off in advance. But
Yeah,
I would just take white gouache and like, or like, it's really more of a peachy tone. But like I would do that after and go over top that way.
yeah, interesting. Oh, so Cassandra, what brushes are you working with tonight?
Huh?
What brushes are you working with tonight?
Oh, I am working with the Princeton Velvet Touch, but I haven't pulled out I have like that whole set that I just work with and then they still look pretty. So I'm
Yeah,
waiting for some of these to wear down to then recycle like cycle them in.
I was just gonna ask, have you used any of the brushes that you got for the? I'm so behind on the vlog.
Um
The vlog is coming out next week. With Cassandra's vlog is starting next week. It's so good. It's really good. But I want to make sure it's perfect. So, yeah.
well, you can tell I'm in the mood for fall and I'm gonna blow dry real quick.
All right, John. What have you been working on a lot of paintings lately, John?
I have,
Yeah.
and it's kind of, no, kind of fun to just get, do some pure drawing here.
Mhm.
And it's like, hey man, I probably wouldn't have chose to do this, for myself, and so
Right.
you're a little uncomfortable, and that's a really good place if you're, here to practice. And, it's like, um, I really had to think about this a lot when I was kind of blocking it in.
Really.
Yeah. No, it's, I think it has, um, I think it's pretty close to what's going on in the photography.
Oh, definitely.
Um,
I mean, you wouldn't have to do too much to make this like a postage stamp, honestly. Like a NASA Americana,
no,
like you know what I mean?
no. And I'm probably not gonna work on, I'm kind of dragging my heels till after, our educational thing, because I'm looking, I want to
Really?
look at the color image. And I
Yeah.
can't see it until after I do that. So,
Oh, I see.
I'm kind of just playing around finding, I can find some more stuff here.
Wow.
Yeah. This first one I think was the most exciting just for looking at the light in it with the way that it's reflected from different spots within the helmet. I think that's really interesting.
Yeah.
Did you all see Alien? John, did you see Alien when it like first came out?
Oh, yeah.
But I can't even imagine. I bet it was so.
It was, it was, it was another world. It was,
Yeah.
and I still think the, the elusiveness of it, the
Uh-huh.
concept art on it, I think it was the absolute best that's ever been done. I just love it.
Mhm. It was also, I feel like, the first, this isn't an original take, but the first like mainstream blending of horror and sci-fi where it like really thrived on like on a large stage. Um,
Well,
that's not my that's the thing I read. Just to be clear. Yeah.
there was so much going on, you
Yeah.
know, in those years.
Yeah.
I remember so much just the mindset of seeing something like Close Encounters or uh
Yeah.
uh it was really exciting. But Alien was beautiful. I mean, it's so well done. Seeing this the way the ships were, hidden behind fog and smoke and all of that stuff, and they left so much for the viewer to imagine.
Yeah.
A- And again, anytime you can get the viewer involved, uh, it's so much more powerful than anything that you can show them. Is
Yeah.
to
Just
get
Oh
kind of
yeah.
is to
like
get
poke.
them to imagine
Yeah.
something.
It's like poke their imagination with a stick instead of just be like,
Right.
yeah.
Well, that's what was so great. Like, everybody's experiencing it now with podcasts, but listening to um radio, it allowed the viewer to, create their own visuals. And really good comic work does that, really good, visual storytelling. It brings the viewer in and lets them do some of the work. And that's the most powerful part of it,
Mhm.
in my mind anyway.
Yeah, it's really, I mean, there's that, and then there is an aspect of just like the physicalness of those films, like that precede like I would say like the early aughts, just like everything before that, that was like when it was like really well done, whether it be like Jurassic Park or Alien or anything, where it was just all models, like models and robotic, and like just I mean like probably the most iconic idea of that is like Jaws, things like
Oh,
that.
yeah. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, where they really hold off. Well, they also hold off showing the monster for so long.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those are my favorite kind when they really just they don't show it because yeah, my imagination is way worse than whatever they'll come up with.
Yeah. Someone also said it was the first sci-fi movie to show dirty, grungy, dark ship. Totally. And when we say that, it's like it was the first mainstream, which they even say, it's like the idea of like a spaceship being like kind of a dump is
Yeah.
funny.
Well,
It's funny.
is it
It's
like the
interesting. It's
first
scary.
sci-fi horror, like legit sci-fi horror?
I don't know that it's the first, but I think it's definitely the first that like everyone went crazy over. I'm sure something it's like somebody probably made somebody made something that is, you could debate was the first, but I think this was the first one. Cause I think you could go to like, an easy rebuttal to that statement I made would be like, well, what about the Twilight Zone? Right? You they often blended horror with sci-fi in the Twilight Zone.
Oh,
Um,
that's a really good point.
but I feel even then it wasn't at the same scale. Like
Yeah,
the
like
Twilight
this
Zone was
just
pretty amazing, but the scale wasn't the same.
Oh my God, the design work for everything, the ships and
Yeah.
just incredible. Geiger's work on it was amazing.
Yeah, it's really funny. I sent a thing to Ray, which Ray's coming back, people. He hasn't we didn't like burn a bridge with Ray or something. He's coming back.
In the midst of a move.
Yeah, he's in the midst of a move. Don't worry. People are probably wondering like what's going on behind the scenes with Drawing Hive. Where's Ray been? No, he's coming back. But I sent him a thing and it was a highlight reel of like directors and actors all talking about like in press interviews, where they're like sitting in the two chairs and they're being interviewed by some random like celebrity publication, and they're like they're promoting their movies, and it's like Tom Cruise and then just a bunch of random people, and they're always like, yeah, for this film we wanted to go back to the basics, and we wanted to make people feel what it really feels like to go to a movie, so it's all practical effects. So when you see a jet, it's a jet, and the whole time they're talking, it's the it's a highlight reel of all of the CGIs that are being built for the film that were released by the studio that worked on the film. And it's like Top Gun. None of those jets are real. And then Tom Cruise is like, when you see me in that jet, I'm really flying it. And it's like, yeah, no, they definitely filmed you for that promo for the film to be so they could do the release to say Tom Cruise does all of his own stunts. And like, yeah, it's, I mean, and it's even like it's James Cameron talking about practical effects, and like George Miller. It's pretty interesting because like, yeah, everybody seems to know that audiences value that. There's like a
Mhm.
there's like a huge value in like, ooh, this one's real.
Well, it feels, there is its own art form in that, and that's exciting. And like
Totally.
you want to know, like, can you
Yeah.
be tricked by like what they created? And
Yeah, but I saw George Miller saying that like the new Mad Max Furiosa was all practical. And I was like, I watched it the other night and I was like, none of this is practical. It's like, this is all like, this is CGI'd to death. I mean, like, I'm not saying it's a bad movie. It's just,
is it more of like a current catchphrase that people want it to be practical, so they're
I think
saying
it's
this?
like, I think it's very similar to like, oh, he does all of his own stunts, when
Hmm.
they do that to like sell I think it's a promotional tool now. Um, but
Well, let's let the audience know that Cassandra and I do all our own stunts.
I
Yeah,
was just going to
We
say
draw
that, John.
everything by ourselves.
I gacked
John, you
this
have a Tom
cardboard,
Cruise.
folks.
John, you have a Tom Cruise energy if he was taller. I could see that. A taller Tom Cruise. Yeah.
I heard from somebody that was like an assistant to Tom Cruise, that he likes to be called TC, and he has his own like he had his own porta potty on set, and like this guy was a an assistant to him, and he got really mad because the assistant used his porta potty, and then Tom Cruise talked about himself in third person and was like, nobody uses TC's toilet but me.
Yeah, I
And so
believe
every
that.
time I think of Tom Cruise, I think of Tom Cruise calling himself TC, and that,
Yeah,
he got really mad over his own porta potty.
I completely believe that.
It's
Um,
so ridiculous. It has to be true.
it's it doesn't even to be totally honest, of the people I know that have like done photo shoots and stuff with celebrities, it sounds mild.
Oh, I bet it is. I bet there's so much more stuff
Yeah.
on everybody. It's hilarious.
I know somebody who did a photo shoot with on the topic of like solipsism of like the solipsism that is inspired by fame. They did a photo shoot with Ludacris, and this is the height of Ludacris's powers before the Fast and Furious franchise as a rapper. Um, and they were, they're in this like LA studio, paying a bajillion dollars to do this whole production, and he demanded this like just to be clear, this is like a 12-hour day probably. Ludacris is probably there for 1 hour, right?
Hmm.
He demanded that the song "Move Blank, Get Out the Way" play the entire time on repeat. Like, like the hit song. And it was like, oh my God. Like, it's just, yeah, it's absurd because that you always play music to like make the mood right. And it was
Yeah.
just like somehow ludicrous. Like which by the way, if you ever want to make people feel comfortable in a creative setting like that, like let's say you hire a model for photo reference or anything, always play music. Always make sure music. That's my like tip of the day. Always make sure music is
Oh, I
playing
wholeheartedly believe that.
when you're gonna do photography of a person. It is night and day. It is a major mistake if you don't do it. Unless I guess maybe you're shooting something really, really somber. But yeah, he somehow figured out how to make that that like comfort hack like extremely uncomfortable. But yeah. 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 Somebody said, yeah, that's not somebody. Xander said, that's ludicrous. Now that's ludicrous. Yeah, I like that. I'm a moron for not catching that. Yeah.
That-
How do
that-
you, when you
That's
guys
why,
have
that's why Ray's not here right now, because of
yeah,
his hands. We just got sick of it.
We're just like, no,
yeah,
you can't have all green M&Ms just for drawing Hive.
just for trying to, yeah, I'd have to Postmates him stuff every people don't know this. Ray demands I Postmates him food for
Was
drawing.
that Van Halen? Was that?
Yeah, it was something like that. It was
Yeah,
like,
it was Van Halen's, one of their requests in their contract.
yeah, just to see if they read their contract. It was like
Yeah.
hidden in there.
Oh gosh. I met a comedian who his on his writer is that they whenever he
Right,
goes,
that's what it is.
what's that on a writer? Yeah.
Yeah, I was trying to remember that name.
His writer that whenever he gets to a comedy club, there's a rotisserie chicken. I thought that was so funny. Because it's kind of healthy. You don't have to like eat food at the club, things like that.
You need it with your hands.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. But it's just kind of funny that somebody has to go out and buy like a $5 rotisserie chicken.
Mm-hmm.
You know, um, I know a I know a Chiefs player that I don't know a Chiefs player, but I know the right. It's one of my favorite things. Whenever I have a photographer buddy who does a shoot with a celebrity, I always ask them what was their rider.
Oh,
What
I
was the
totally want to know the writers for
what was
sure.
the
So
wildest thing
please.
on the rider? Okay, so Chiefs player, everybody knows him. On his rider, $300 bottles of tequila for a shoot on a Tuesday morning.
What?
Nobody drank it. They just walk off with it. Sometimes they put things on their rider just because they know they get to take it.
Mm.
But still, pretty over the top. The best rider is a person who everybody knows from the series Stranger Things. That's what it's called, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Stranger Things. Um, I don't want to exaggerate it. So it was a $100 candle. Do you know candles could be $100?
Wow. Like, is
Yeah.
it like a 3-wick pillar candle, or is it just like this little like
I wish
teacup
you'd been there,
candle?
Cassandra, because then we could have gotten down to it and figured out like more about the candle.
Yeah, I
I
would want
just
all the
heard that and
details.
I was like, incredible.
I would
Somebody
want to
said,
smell it. I want to know what $100 candle smells like. I don't have access to that.
I yeah, I do think that it's kind of a shame that when you're a celebrity and you do get $100 candle, like one would assume that that candle is going to be lit in the space because like it's a rider for this event.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's upsetting to know that there's a PA that was paid like $300 for that day that didn't get to smell $100 candle. You
Yeah.
know, yeah, that celeb just was like, nice. Now I get this candle. What do you think is more obnoxious if they had asked for 50,
$1
50,
candles or
yeah,
$2
50,
candles?
no, 50 $10 candles or one $100 candle?
A lot less work getting the $100 candle,
Yeah.
Yeah.
except you may have to look a while. Or you could just find somebody and say, hey, I'll give you $100 for that candle.
Oh, actually, John, that's a really funny that's a really funny take on it is the idea that they demanded that the candle just cost $100.
Just
That they not
any
that they
candle.
that they failed to specify the brand.
I found, what was it?
No,
The Kentucky
they
Fried Chicken candle on eBay for $100. So that's what I
yeah,
got you.
yeah, exactly. No. Oh, Cassandra, that's cool. It's coming together really fast.
Yeah, I just am trying to lay in the darks, and just try to see if the face is placed right, and then I can adjust from there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's really the biggest issue in starting this thing. It's just like, is the face, does it fit in the helmet?
Yeah. And
So
I
you're,
realized
Ooh.
I couldn't move forward with the face until I figured out the helmet, and then looking at the space behind it, like the helmet starts to fade into the background. So then I was just like, all right, I'll just lay it all in and then I'll go for it.
Dale and I were talking about you last night, Cassandra, about
Oh,
somebody was showing an anamorphic figure, and I was talking about the drawing that it takes to really pull that off, and you are incredible at it. And so I know you'll handle this helmet because you're thinking really it comes down to the anatomy of that figure, having that helmet wrapped around them.
yeah. Well, thank you for that compliment. That's so nice. Um, yeah, it's so and again, it's back to the shapes, which that honestly, when you and your dad taught me that, that's the thing that really has defined how I paint. And it took me years. Like you all taught me that. And then it took me years to actually implement it and understand it and let go of my drawing. And like for drawing Hive, I don't even really draw before I start. I just start with shape and just trust the fact that I'll figure it out. Um, but yeah, it's just thinking about how those shapes interact with each other. And when I can simplify it that way, it takes the pressure off of perfection or having it fully figured out. It's just like, okay, well, that shape is kind of like that. So I'm going to kind of make that shape and then see how it interacts with that shape. And I don't know, when I was able to think about it that way and simplify it in my head, it stopped being so intimidating.
Yeah. No, it really is. It's like, I'm sure this is, this all fits in here and is fairly believable, but I'm sure it's insanely wrong. If I were to like take the photograph and put a opaque, project the
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah,
photograph,
mine's definitely wrong for
it would be all out of whack.
that. Uh-huh.
But it feels right, and well, I'm going to talk about that a little bit in our educational thing. A way to maybe see things, uh, uh, to check things and see if they're working properly.
But
Which
yeah, I think if you get the feeling, then everybody else will get the feeling.
Right. I can do that whenever, Timmy.
all right.
In fact, I'd like to do it, get it beyond me so I can draw.
Go.
Oh my gosh, I'm on.
And go now.
I screwed it up because now I can't find the, hold on.
Isn't it just 2 slides away every time? Like no matter what.
Here we go.
Yeah,
Am I sharing?
you are.
Yes.
Okay. So, I wanted to talk about like shooting photo reference and interpreting it. And it's like so many, Cassandra and I see this all the time in our classes. I see it more often than not that people shooting photo reference that don't have that much experience in shooting photo reference, they battle with lens distortion all the time. And I wanted to just talk about it a little bit. This is a beautiful photograph of a beautiful girl that happens to be I guess officially she's my second cousin. This is Sally's daughter, Christy. And Sally shot this shot, and she's doing a painting of it, and she did a drawing of it, and was asking questions about proportions. And because it was really hard to draw from. It's a beautiful photograph.
It's a beautiful photograph. Sally did fantastic.
I love the pose, but it's a really hard photograph to draw from. And if you get into the situation, one of the easiest ways to identify it and see it is do a line drawing over the top of the photo, because you just see pure shape. Look at that right hand compared to the left hand. Look at the scale of the hand compared to the head. I mean, this is like, comic book foreshortening almost to that kind of exaggeration. And I'm not saying there's not a time and a place for it. probably for this particular application of doing the figure, a reclining figure on a couch, you probably want to remove some of it. And so I always suggest for people to, okay, you can do it here in the tracing paper, and then you can correct and scale it down in your drawing easier than you can as you're doing it on your canvas, for sure, or whatever substrate you're working on. But this is where you're going to be able to recognize it. And what happens is, and Timmy sent me a really great link, which I read through and looked at, and it's basically how it was explained to me and how I understood it. When I first started shooting photo reference, and most of it, a lot of what I did as an illustrator when I started was doing, shooting figures, heads. There's always people involved. And I didn't want a lot of lens distortion. And so I had to I was shooting with a 35mm camera, an SLR camera. And I remember my father pointing out to me that I needed multiple lenses. I needed a short lens, more of a wide angle lens, to shoot interiors was very helpful. I needed a portrait lens, and a portrait lens usually, I think Timmy, you can probably help me. I think they usually go from like 60 to 105 or 60 to 130. They're kind of in between, and you want to, I think they always suggest that like 85mm is like really what you want to get the most honest proportions and least distortion from your lens in shooting portrait work.
Yeah, that'll change based on distance from the subject too, though.
Okay, well,
I mean, but you're right. I mean, like, yeah,
that's
like,
what they taught. That's
yeah.
I'm not
Right.
a photographer.
We're not gonna get into like the science of it tonight or anything.
Yeah, so
like
you just want something that's going to remove a lot of the distortion with your iPhone, and it's what most people, and it's what I shoot a lot of my reference with now. And what you do with your camera is back away. If Sally had the option, she's in a New York apartment here, so she didn't have a lot of space. But
yeah, she is smashed against that wall.
That's right. She's like hanging out the window to shoot this right now. So
she's 2 feet away from the subject.
Yeah. So with the opportunity, if you have the space, you want to back away, and then you can zoom in if you want the figure larger in the shot.
Because you're just going for information on this.
Right. It's what it's all about. And so to get the distortion out, you need to back away and zoom in, or just have the figure smaller. But it will take care of this extreme distortion between the scale of these. They're probably, I'm thinking those hands are probably 3 feet apart.
Which I don't know if you get it. I don't know if you're going to get into this, but this is a pincushion distortion.
Oh, okay. I didn't even know that term.
Imagine you put a pin in the middle of this image and it pushed it towards, like, away from you, and the 4 corners remained close.
Yeah, I see what you're talking about.
Okay. Yeah.
So a pin cushion, like a pillow.
Yeah.
Like a decorative pillow with a pin in the middle. Yeah. Sorry, go ahead, John.
Well, it's like almost 1 point perspective. But the distortion is so extreme, it's very difficult to use this unless you want it, which and I know in this case they don't. So you have to draw it out. And the way my suggestion to Sally was, okay, let's do a line drawing, and then you can go back and you can see the differences. And in the drawing, you can up your the left hand, her right hand, but the left hand in the picture, make that slightly larger, because it's still small in scale of the head. And then you're going to have to make the right hand in the picture, her left hand, considerably smaller, and then and shorten the length of the arm. The head and the feet and the legs are all pretty much in the same plane, where they're not distorted much. They make sense to me, or close to it. Beautiful lighting on this.
Mm-hmm.
And again, the only other thing I'll talk to you about tonight as far as lighting and is learn what lighting scenarios are, play with them, understand what they are, move any opportunity you have in shooting light or shooting reference is have a single light source that you can move around, and then having a reflector or a secondary light source. It's not as necessary, but it's very helpful. Single light source, knowing these as starting places. All of the photo shoots, all of the reference that I've shot of figure, interior, whatever, lighting is like a huge necessity. I mean, it's just, you have to deal with it. And you want your lighting to match the mood of what you're trying to convey in your subject matter. The best thing, I remember getting some of the best advice the first time I had to hire a professional model and I was shooting that individual for a book cover, where I literally had to go out and get correct clothing. I had a budget for all of this in that part of the industry to do this, but I had to get the right clothing. I had to shoot the figure and establish a mood. And I was told by somebody who did it really well, did it often, and this was kind of my first time with a professional model, was to practice a lot. Get comfortable, like just practice moving a light down around and shoot reference of somebody that you're, number one, not paying by the hour.
Mhm.
And figure out how much you can explore, how much and the more you move the light, the more shots you take, the more you try, the better off you are. But have a starting place, and with an illustration or using process with an illustration or a painting, that's what big part of why we do thumbnails. And it will direct you and guide you and give you a starting place, but you may see something that's a lot better and wander from it when you put a light on a figure or a light on whatever you're shooting, and explore that. Take the time to explore it and get good at it, because it's really helpful. This was the this is a PDF to me. I can't play the GIF, but
Yeah.
but
This tells the story. Yeah.
yeah, but I do have the website here. Go to it, you can see the GIF, but this is really it right here. Look at that distortion. Look how different this individual on the top looks compared to the one in the bottom right corner. The most accurate are probably these three right here.
Totally.
And you get, if you have a starting place and that, okay, if I have this length lens, if you're using an SLR, if you're using your iPhone, just give yourself enough distance, zoom out, or excuse me, zoom in to get, bring the subject a little bit larger so you can see it. But you got to be 6 to 10 feet away from your subject matter, depending on if it's a portrait or full figure. You have to have some distance there. So anyway, I thought I thought this was really well explained, probably better than I explained it. But it's amazing how much this figure changes during that little GIF. It's like
really
that's
isn't it wild?
crazy.
So
it's like a 3-second GIF.
Well, so one of the things I would say is whenever is that, John, I don't want to cut off your talk.
No, that's all
Okay,
that's
cool.
all I have.
So one of the things I will always say to people I know who are like, oh, I look awful in that photo, is it's like, it truly is not your fault sometimes. like for instance, the introduction of the wide lens on the iPhone. If you're going to be in a group photo, you do not want to be on the edge. It does not favor people on the outside. It can like double the width of you. I'm being hyperbolic, but it can make people look terrible on the edge, and then people towards the center look more normal. But it's funny, you're like saying like those three images are like the most accurate. You do get into this like conversation of like like perception that can get pretty like philosophical about like what is the most accurate perception of a person. And what you mean, John, is like what is the closest perception to the human eye seeing a person in real life and
Yeah.
experiencing it. Because it's like, it's like it depends on what kind of eyeball you have at a certain point, like it gets pretty interesting, but fun for anybody to know is I've never messed around with this with people, but there are tools you can use to like um the opposite of a pincushion is barrel distortion, which is
Mm-hmm.
just the inversion of that. And there are pretty simple tools. Like I think Adobe's had this for like 10 plus years in Premiere. I think probably any photo editing software worth its weight has it, you know, where you can manipulate distortion in a photo. I don't know what it looks like with people. I just know what it looks like with architectural photography, um, which is a quick way to know if a subject is being like heavily distorted is look for things that should be straight,
Yes.
look for things like pillars, columns, anything architectural in the photo that is behind your subject or anything. And if it's bending, it's yeah, it's a tell all, or it's a not tell all, it's a whatever telltale sign. That's a fun topic.
Yeah, it is.
Excited to hear. I was excited to hear a topic that I could weigh in on.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's such an important one because sometimes you don't realize your drawing isn't working because your reference isn't working for you.
Yeah, the way it was explained to me, it's like, okay, everybody thinks of a camera, and when you use a camera and you shoot a photograph, you think, well, it's got to be accurate. It's a photo.
Right.
Yeah.
And it was quickly said, photography lies all the time, and it distorts.
Yep.
And so you can't just because it's a piece of photography doesn't mean that it's accurate. So, uh,
Totally.
um,
You have never seen your own face the way other people see it.
Yeah.
Whether it be photography in a mirror, it doesn't matter. You've never seen it the same way, which I find fascinating. It's it's really interesting. I find it comforting.
Right. But like, do they see
Yeah.
it better or worse?
You got to assume better. You just got to be like, man. Yeah. Yeah. That's a fun one. I can't scroll up on, yeah, Xander shared the Chicago bean. That'll do it. Yeah. How often uh has that been like is that an issue that you see with students, John?
every class.
Really?
Yeah, just like almost every time nobody understands it until it's explained to them.
Yeah.
And then even after it's explained to them, sometimes they forget.
Yeah, it is easy to forget. Totally.
Well,
And I forget it when I'm in a family photo, I forget it. Like I'll be like on the edge of the photo and I'll be like, man,
what
I've
I
been doing so much yoga lately. Like, what's going on?
I thought I was doing better. It felt good today.
Yeah, I felt great today. What?
what I think that most people when they're new to what we do, like in here drawing and stuff, I go a lot of time to find good photo reference, and the lighting, it's an interesting shot, that type of thing.
Yeah.
Talk about distortion. I'm looking at I work at an angle, and my drawing, the ellipse, it's not a circle, it's an ellipse. It's much more oblong. But my camera's up higher and it's looking down on it, and it's distorting it. It's making it very round and
Hmm.
crushing it. I couldn't draw anything that round if I wanted to. Anything anyway, um, the quality of information and what you do, than what you do with it. The better information you have, the easier it is to work through something. And information, the photography doesn't have to be pretty to be good information. It just, got to have a good light source, a light that explains whatever form that you're trying to explain well. And then the rest is up to you. Translating from a piece of photography, the catch is not to get to add something, beyond what the photograph can do. The interest,
Right.
you know, trying not to be a photorealist. At least in the way that I work, that's what I'm doing. I mean, there's people
Yeah.
that are trying to be photorealists. But no matter what, the quality, unless it's even if it's photorealistic, or if you're trying to do something that's really distorted, good information. I'd rather have really quality information and then to do the distortion with my drawing, not with the camera lens.
Hmm.
Um, First off, very long first pose, everybody. We're just so caught up in having the OG crew here that it's been so nice that we were not paying attention. I was not paying attention. Start posting your work to Instagram. We're gonna check it out. It's hashtag Romulus Hive, hashtag Drawing Hive, and Add Visual Arts Passage. We're gonna show it at the end of the episode. Post it now though. Don't wait. That Instagram's a weird place that changes on the weekly basis. So don't wait.
Yep.
Post it now. I dropped the hashtags in the chat. It's ROMULUS. Just copy paste it. It's easy. It's weird to spell, easy to copy paste. Yeah, John, I was going to ask you, is there, because it's like you are trying to make art. You don't need to make the art in camera. Is that
Right. Well,
logic right?
yeah, but there's a lot of painters.
Yeah.
Even myself now,
Uh-huh.
I take my own reference. I always want to experience, like if I'm referring to landscape.
Yeah.
I want to experience being there. I want to see it. I want to observe
Uh-huh.
something that's interesting. And it's usually shape relationships. And that's what I'm attracted to with my photography. I shoot the photo reference, go back to my studio, and I will manipulate the photo first with cropping and get get the scale of what I want to do and crop into the area that I find interesting. And then I'll manipulate with Photoshop. I didn't do that 3 or 4 years ago. I just started doing it 2 or 3 years ago. And I'll manipulate my reference and kind of create a different piece of reference than I actually shot. Ray goes way beyond that. And then he's just technically much better than I am with his digital abilities. And then I start the drawing process. I draw and I change things with my drawing, but I give myself a better place, a different piece of photography than what I saw in nature. And I'm just trying to get further and further away from what I actually saw. I'm trying to redesign nature is what I'm trying to do. And it's
God.
pardon me?
John God English.
Right.
No, I just like the landscape painters I like.
Yeah.
Most of them are studio artists.
Yeah.
People they finish all their landscapes in their studio. And I totally appreciate plein air painters. I just don't find it is compelling because they're usually, I first of all, I'm a really lousy plein air painter. I should probably, try it more, but I tend to gravitate to exactly what's there. And the landscape painters I like are really kind of inventive, and either they really change what they saw or what it inspired them to do it. And I find that a little bit more interesting. But that's not to say I look at there's plein air painters that I look at, I marvel at how good they are.
John,
Someone
can you
just asked.
explain what a
Yeah.
plein air painter is?
They paint from life.
They're going out in the wild.
You're going in the wild, painting from life.
Yeah. Have you
And
ever been stopped from doing that? I was just curious because I can be a little insecure about like going out in public and put myself on the spot. Like, have you ever been like, I don't want to be the guy at the park with
Yeah.
the whole setup? It, I mean, has that ever been an issue for you? Or
that's definitely something I don't enjoy. Uh,
yeah, and people being like, "What's going on? Hey,
yeah.
what are you doing?" Or
Look at that. I could do that.
yeah,
That's one of the reasons uh
yeah,
I've never it's like I've gone to like art fairs and
yeah,
saw people cabling at art fairs and stuff, and then it's like the way they present them in Kansas City, I think is so ridiculous because they'll do it on like a Friday night
yeah.
and people, go to dinner and they get, they're walking around with drinks in their hand and they just say the dumbest thing to the artists all the time because they have no sense. And it's like,
Yeah,
but I was
it's a very vulnerable thing to do.
my
Yeah.
my father said this too. I was talking about it one day. I said I was considering doing that, and he goes, "Oh my God, don't you dare do that." He said, "You'll be in a fight in 10 minutes." And I was like, I started thinking about that. It's like, yeah, that would really bother me with people saying something to me about what I did. Um,
Which, which today, the contemporary version of that, I think, is way, way more lucrative and like functional and just like great. I mean, I don't know.
well, art fairs can be, I mean, there's
I
people
mean,
that
oh my God, we're not dogging on art fairs. I
no,
just,
not at all.
yeah,
There's people
not
that
at all.
have done really well with them and they're good at it.
You got to be brave and
I,
confident.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
well, I might be too confident for that. So
Yeah, you also, yeah, you have to have I mean, I've seen like Audrey Ben Jamieson's like, I think it was Audrey. Yeah, Audrey is like posted about experiences at shows where
at
people,
advanced cons and stuff, yeah.
yeah, where people just, it's like you're meeting art buyers in the wild and they say like just things that are like rude or ignorant or like uninformed. And there's a part of me that like from the outside, you're like, well, they just don't know. They don't understand. Um, and it's just this collision of two worlds
Yeah.
that that can only hurt feelings like one way or the other. But yeah,
But
but
like true plein air, like you're out in the wild,
yeah,
I love. I'm all about that because it's like you're not
yeah,
about being around other people. Like there are plein air events and then
uh-huh.
you are around other people, but I like it when there isn't anybody around and I'm out
Mhm,
there doing watercolors and drawings and painting and like
mhm.
in that I have a lot of fun because there's no pressure. It's just the joy of painting and trying to capture what you're seeing in the moment. So like
Right.
when I travel, that would be like my postcard. Like I have
Yeah.
special notebooks just for traveling to do art in.
Yeah, I guess the hypothetical I was asking John about was like an urban city park or
Yeah,
something like that.
those
Just to clarify, I'm
I
glad
get
you said that
very
to
intimidated by.
clarify where you
Yeah.
want to where
I'm
like
glad
there's
you said it
somebody.
too, because Cassandra, I've really enjoyed, I didn't do very good paintings, but I've really enjoyed like being, by myself in Colorado on a mountainside somewhere, painting something. I've done that a number of times, and um, I've had a pretty good experience doing it. I'm not, and maybe it's my facilitation. I don't know. Maybe it is my not doing it enough or trying it enough, but I do very average paintings when I do that.
I'm gonna have to see them before I accept that.
No, no, I get too caught up into what I'm looking at. I just paint what's in front of me, and I think the better paintings I do in my life, I do in my studio that I make decisions to really alter what originally inspired me.
Hmm.
And I have there's something about painting like on site that I just look and paint exactly what's in front of me. And and again, it's probably, just not doing enough, and
I
I'm
guess
pretty,
I categorize them differently. Like my plein air painting is actually much looser and just expressionistic versus I'm more tighter with my studio work because I have all the time
yeah.
to be tight. But in the wild, especially if like anybody, I'm hiking with somebody or I'm just out about, like I don't want to spend all day there. So everything is faster,
Yeah.
quicker, and looser. So it's fun that way.
So
Well, part of it may be being spoiled too. It's like, I like being in my studio. It's,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
I got my music, got my, sometimes I even have the, television on in the background of the news
And a
or,
cup of coffee.
yep. Yeah, I don't have bugs sticking to my painting. I'm not
I just
sweating.
feel like it gives
or
it nice
pretty-
texture, don't you?
Yeah.
Here's a do you guys want a Christopher the model update?
Oh yeah, how's he
It's
doing?
it's topical for what we're talking about, believe it or not. Christopher just finished the Northeast chapter of his walk across
Oh,
America.
I was wondering about that the other day. I was just wondering when he was.
He he is walked a lot. He's averaging 20 plus miles a day, and which is wild. He walks every day, 7 days a week. Um, but he has a mobile watercolor kit that he's using, and he's been doing some little paintings.
Oh,
Oh,
that's wonderful.
Yeah.
he just wants back on the show. He's
Way to
Yeah, I
just
go,
know he
Christopher
does.
the model.
Yeah, for anybody who knows,
trying.
Christopher Model is the first model. COVID, day one, week one, he was our model for Drawing Hive. But he's walking across America, and yeah, it's pretty amazing. If you know, it's if you want to follow the adventure, it's closer to home on Instagram. That's the tag.
You know
It's a
what?
fun.
I follow him on Instagram. I just hadn't checked lately because it hadn't,
When I don't
hadn't
get a
really.
post from him, yeah, when I go like 4 days without a post from him, I text him and be like, "You okay?" It's weird. It's like hot. It's a
Yeah, I
lot of
was seeing at the
logging. It's
beginning
wild.
he was dealing with a lot of heat exhaustion.
Is he?
I was like, dude, you can't do a post about heat exhaustion day two.
He was like, it was the heat dome kind of
Yeah, I
time.
know, but it was like, I was like, dude, you should have saved it at least. I was like that. I was like, day two, you've lost everybody following this has lost faith in you. I was like,
I'm
I was,
really tired.
yeah, I was like, oh my God, dude, you haven't even got out of Brooklyn. Like, no, he's doing very well.
How
He's
how
begun.
how did he? Is he all funded? Or is he still
Yeah,
getting?
he's funded. He's sponsored by Alta Shoes. He's writing a book, and podcast is going to follow after the adventure. He's going to see me. He told me to mark my calendar for September, so I've made sure that I'll be available in November. And yeah, because I'm going to walk. He asked how far I would walk with him into Kansas City,
And so
and
how far are you willing to walk?
I said 10 untrade miles. Because also, it's not what I think I'm capable of; it's what I want to do. Oh, and we're doing it. He wants me to bring my dog Echo.
Oh yeah, okay.
So
Well, the dog, yeah, that could be different, but
yeah, because my dog, once my dog quits, it's like, what do? I have to carry this dog
you call Gianna and
5 miles.
just be like, "Hey, can you come get the dog?"
Oh wow, I didn't think about that because I was like, it would break Christopher's rule for him to take a ride with Gianna. I didn't think we could just give Gianna the dog. It's a good point. Yeah, no, it'll be fine though. It's gonna be like September, November, so or I mean, it'll be November, October probably. So no
Pretty
hot
cool.
dog, no hot dog, nothing like that. Nobody can worry.
Right, right.
On the topic of the fall, though, we are currently enrolling for the fall semester at Visual Arts Passage. If you don't know what I mean when we enrolling, we offer courses, online courses that focus on illustration and fine arts a lot of things we talk about tonight, but they're equally focused on your personal development. So it's a setting where you're in a classroom and you're learning about all of these things that you have to know to really thrive, whether it's fine arts or illustration. And the fall semester might seem like it's a long way off, but our early bird sale, which is $200 off of a 10-week course that includes more than 24 live classes, tons of one-on-one feedback, seven guest speakers, um, study hall events, which that's a all school meetup where you get to meet a ton of our teachers and they give you tons of feedback. That early bird sale ends tomorrow. It's $200 off. The code is chirp. Our program, each course, it's designed to be like kind of a ladder to help you get from knowing what you don't know, not knowing what you don't know, which is everything in illustration, fine arts. If you don't have a career, like how do you get to that career? You start there. Every course that you take it's just one rung on the ladder to get you to having a career. What we call the most important thing to get to that career is a portfolio. And so when you leave our program, that is what you leave with. You have a portfolio. If you're in the fine arts program, you have a body of work, and it's to show it to art directors, show it to galleries, show it to people who are decision makers at places that can create opportunities for you. And so our whole thing is that our classes are live and they're focused on you. So it's not a room like this where there's, 100 plus people that are coming in over the course of the night, drawing with us and just listening and then getting mad when I said something inaccurate about alien or whatever. I don't know. I can't imagine how many people have got mad at me just, but it's fully interactive. You're going to build a relationship with your classmates, with your teacher, everything. And all of your instructors, they're at the top of their game. They're thriving. They're doing really well. Cassandra, how
Hmm.
many gallery shows did you have last year? Do you know off the top of your head?
I think 17, but I have 21 this year currently.
Whoa. Okay,
That's
so
including a solo.
busy. So
Yeah.
you're working with people who are busy. They've learned how to make this a career they can live off of. And they're all about what I like to say, sending the elevator down, helping people who are currently trying to climb up and make this something that they can live off of. And um I really feel strongly that if you're here right now and you know what you want to do, you want to be an illustrator, you want to work at like be represented by a gallery, you should consider yourself a very lucky person. You know what you want to do. That's that's incredibly special. I did not know what I wanted to do for a very long time. Most people, I mean, oftentimes I think people never find out what they want to do. It's a really tough journey. So you should consider yourself lucky. But the one thing of advice that I would give, and that I think a lot of artists would give, is that the sooner you can make what you love doing your livelihood, the sooner you get to do it every day. And the sooner you get to make your world, the world that you live in, kind of revolve around that. And that is just the sooner you get to do that, the more of your life gets to be that. And that's really special. And our whole program, I think when you really like distill it down into the simplest version, um, what John created with the Illustration Academy and for Visual Arts Passage is we want to get you to doing what you love as fast as possible because it means you're going to get to do it longer. So I want to emphasize that when you're 22, that doesn't click. You got to be at least in your late 30s, I think, to realize like, oh my God, you're going down this I always think of this, you're accelerating down a highway and these, how like the lampposts are flying by. Those are years. And it's like time passes, it goes by, and as you speed up, it goes by faster. And so the sooner you can just make doing what you love a reality, I think it really opens a lot of doors. So
Well,
I
what
just
happens,
wanted to express that. Yeah.
Jimmy, is like what I've noticed with most people that are trying to build careers as an artist is that um, if they don't have success relatively quickly, they give up. And it's like
Yeah.
just chasing, that's it. There's so many things about you have to deal with as a professional artist. It's like, if it's going to be your livelihood, how can you create this constant stream of work that's going to feed you?
Yeah.
And a lot of it, is being a good picture maker. A
Mhm.
lot of it is really understanding the industry at a very high level and being able to target your audience, being able to make work that's functional for the arena you want to work in. I mean, there's all kinds of things you got to consider.
Mhm.
And I think I like to explain, Timmy, yeah, just you and I have talked about this very recently. It's like our program, it's four basic, fine arts is three and three classes, and the illustration program is four classes. They have
Mhm.
very specific things we want you to get a handle on, and they're the things that you're going to need for the sole purpose of making a portfolio. And that means
Yeah.
a portfolio has to be considered. Who are you making it for? What is the function? And usually you're making it for a pretty small number of art directors,
Mhm.
but they all work in the same arena. Art directors, great. It was total proof of concept having Lauren here a few weeks ago. It's like,
Oh, great.
yeah, she only is really inspired or attracted to people that are doing what she's looking for. And so you have to understand the industry well enough to before you can even think about putting a body of work together. And
Absolutely. Yeah.
so I think we do a really good job of, within those four classes are like
Mhm.
just think of it as like four really big skill sets that are handling the things that you need to go to the next step. And so in our illustration program, you start with process, skill, and craft, and you learn to work, you
Right.
learn to better your craft, you learned all kinds of really basic, simple color, basic perspective, but usually it's the first foray for people to step in and use constructive picture making. You learn a process of, going from thumbnailing to value study to color
Mhm.
study to finished piece. And ultimately, that's really the act of making a picture with an art director.
Yeah.
And it's a very process driven business. And so you take that's the first big skill set. The second one is ideation and storytelling, where you learn how to formulate ideas and become a better problem solver and learn how to get from text to visual. But it's the cognitive part. And you pair those two big things together to start making portfolio pieces.
Mhm.
And with the portfolio, you're identifying your audience. What do I want to do? Where do I want to do it? Who are the art directors I'm going to try to attract? And then in the career class, the last class, is we want you to leave with the tool bag of all the things you need to work in the industry, paired with your portfolio. Along the way, there's all kinds of other smaller skill sets, things that relate to it, of becoming a better drawer, learning more about color, becoming a better understanding
Mhm.
composition at a higher level. Those are push-ups and sit-ups you do along the way in all of the classes. But
Yeah.
it it it's I think it's really well thought out of the things you need to work in the industry.
Yeah. I talk, John, I know you talk with like a lot of people who are like self-taught, which that's great. I mean, frankly, I'll be totally honest, like people who are self-taught. I'm not going to say that going to art school is a bad thing or anything like that, but you don't have $200,000 in debt usually for being self-taught. um, but one of the things I would say is that it's really hard to self-prescribe yourself how to get to a career. Like, even though all the information, like a lot of the information when we talk about demos or tutorials or whatever, you can find a lot of that stuff for free or for really affordable prices in on-demand settings. it's rarely going to be $15 to get like legitimate feedback or legitimate guidance from like a top level professional. Um, but it's all about, I think, cutting out the junk and getting that direct map, as the crow flies to your career, opposed to taking all these like, tributaries that kind of go nowhere or take you down the wrong path. And like, I mean, I don't know how many times I talk with people that they have an idea in their head that they want to do something, but then they tell me what they're passionate about. And I'm like, well, that isn't the same thing. And it turns out like, someone told them they should do X, but it's like, that there's actually a whole industry around what you're passionate about. You could be a cover artist, right? Like you could do children's books, or you could do all these things. You don't have to just don't like don't follow. This is the one thing where it's like, don't follow the money. Like do what you're passionate about. Cause John, you say it all the time. It's like passion's going to beat talent all the time.
Well, the problem is what most people
Yeah.
don't consider in our industry is, both on the painting side and the illustration side, it's competitive.
Yeah, exactly. Because you're gonna whatever you pick, there's gonna be a passionate person trying to do it.
Well,
you know?
there's somebody that's going to be doing exactly what they want to do and they love.
Yeah, yeah,
And my quote I use all the time is they're going to walk through fire to get really good at it.
yeah,
And so you better choose what you want to do because that's what you're
yeah. So our program, I mean, we try to cut out all the junk and just make it as clear as possible. It is enrolling. The sale, our big sale, ends tomorrow, end of day tomorrow, midnight, Friday, and the code. It's weird to like talk so like passionately about something and then be like, and the code is chirp.
I was waiting for it. I didn't
Yeah,
want
the
to say
code is
anything, but I was
chirp.
like, I want to hear you go deep. And the code is chirp.
No, I'm not gonna be serious. Yeah, yeah, it's pretty silly. I probably should have come up with a new code for this semester, but I didn't. The code is chirp. It ends tomorrow. I really recommend it. I guarantee you, like you can, if you're passionate about this, you can do it. I whoever is listening, if you want to make this career, I promise you, if you focus on it, you can. If you dedicate yourself to it, you put in the work, you can do it. You have control of it, you know?
Well, the other thing our program does really well. This is Thursday night. We were together last night.
Yeah.
We're together live on the weekend in our classes, and we're in Discord together every day. And
Yeah.
it's a big part of it is a community, and a lot of our instructors are really high level professionals, and it's having a community for anything, I think is just insanely valuable.
Yeah, absolutely. Community's huge.
Yeah.
It's like what keeps me dedicated to anything I do. I mean, it just pushes you harder. It makes you, a little bit of healthy competition is fun, but really just people. This is the one thing I think that's so cool about Visual Arts Passage, and like we use Discord, and if you're not on the Discord, we have a public version of it that I'll drop the link in the chat. But it's so cool how the school is so like everyone, you would think, because I guess I'd probably be like the disciplinarian. If we were like a prep school, I'd be like the disciplinarian. I've never had to discipline. Everybody's so supportive of each other. It's like the whole school is like a cheerleading team. It's really awesome. It's not just like when I say cheerleading team, it's not just like oh my God, that's so good. You did nothing wrong. It's like a supportive community of how can we all get better, which is awesome. I think that's the best version, because you don't want to just be in the space where it's like everybody's like, what you did was amazing and it's not honest, like the feedback isn't honest. The feedback's just like falsely positive, you know?
Reality is so important when learning art,
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
having
It's gonna sting, you
yeah,
know?
well,
It doesn't
hey,
have to sting, but it
it
might.
doesn't sting. It's just like you got to put your foot in the water and just know that it's a competitive world, and you have to
Yeah.
competitive environment. You have to, um, you know, you got to compete in it. At some point, you have to be able to survive in that environment, and
Yeah.
so reality, we're not doing anybody any favors by telling them they're ready to go to work if they're not, or not giving them
Yeah.
the right opportunity, the right material to go to work.
I will say this. I did not go to photography school, thank God. That would have been really terrible. But I've had the opportunity to work with some of the best photographers in the world. I to assist them. Um, and I took a lot of like online classes. I took a lot of in-person classes, like kind of one-off things. Um, and one of the things that I noticed when I started working with like the most talented photographers in the world, and this is all in relation to getting to what you need to know as fast as possible. And I learned, wow, like a lot of these guys are women, like they barely know like the technical specs of their camera at all. I've worked with photographers who don't hardly know where like the trigger is on their camera. Like
That makes me feel better.
it, that is not what makes them good. That is not the hard part. That is the technical thing that I mean, like, you know, if you want to be a, and I'm talking about like the best, like people that are working with in fashion, in like the highest level of commercial photography or entertainment. I'm not referring to wedding or like event photography, or I'm not, and I'm also not dogging on it. That's an amazing way to make a career. But I just learned like at the highest level, like wow, they don't get bogged down by all of this like data about like camera specs and all that, and like they never knew it. Many of them never learned it, but what they all knew was they understood lighting extremely well. They knew the human figure extremely well. They knew mood. They understood taste. They understood like they understood like setting a scene with color and like putting a figure in a space. And you're like, oh, but like, why is it like every class I've ever taken, like they put this huge emphasis on like all the technical aspects of this
Yeah.
art form. And you start realizing, like, you start doing the math, and you're like, man, like, I wasted a lot of time thinking that was the most important thing for me to learn.
Timmy, you'll
Like,
laugh at this, that really interesting photo. I've said this, showed you the photo before of the Illustrators Workshop,
yeah,
original program my dad put together. Richard Avedon shot a photograph of all the illustrators. Richard Avedon being like one of the great fashion photographers,
yeah.
and he was he had an assistant like get everything set up. Richard Avedon was not in the room in the studio. They set everything up. Richard Avedon walked in,
Yep.
pointed three different directions, moved a couple of things, didn't even pull the trigger on the camera, had somebody else do it, and walked out of the room.
Hmm.
That was it.
I know a photographer that did a photo
Yeah.
shoot with Steven Spielberg. He like he photographed Steven Spielberg's like a portrait for like it was probably like one of the Vanity Fair type magazines, and he was like, Mr. Spielberg, you're an inspiration to me. You're why I do what I do. It would mean a lot to me if you took a photo of me, and they got the whole scene set up and everything. And Spielberg's like, sure. And he gets behind the camera. It's a Hasselblad. He gets behind the camera and he goes, where's the button?
Ah,
And it's just like, and it's not like it's a fancy new camera. It's like a old school Hasselblad with a digital
Yeah.
back on it. And you're just like, oh my
You would
God.
think that everybody would know that camera, right?
Yeah, you would think a dude like Spielberg. I mean, I don't know. I when I heard that story, I'm like not surprised at all. But because I've had times where I've worked with photographers that like a nightmare for a really, really high level photographer is an assistant messing with the specs on the camera because if they mess something up, oftentimes these like amazing photographers won't know, and it can really like throw a wrench in the whole thing. And I've I've heard nightmare stories about that happening before, like on a major production for, you know, a huge like sports company. You know, this is like a shoot that's happening in like Saudi Arabia or China. And so, so just so you know, like they fly out everybody first class. So like the budget for like travel is like 20 grand a person. Like, because they're flying them like first class to China, and then they do the whole photo shoot, and somebody changed the camera settings to small JPEG.
Oh.
Cassandra, that's a lot like our budget for our
Yeah,
class.
Oh, or our budget for
yeah.
Drawing Hive, right?
That's
No,
right.
yeah, exactly. But I mean, you're talking about like a $500,000 shoot, you know, and it's like,
Kind of our art
I,
supply budget, right?
obviously they
It's
didn't like
like
cancel the shoot.
200
They just like,
DPI or something.
yeah, they like added, you know, the solution to that is they're like, we have to do an extra day, and so it doesn't. It's not like everything was lost, but it's just a massive waste of
It's
time and
just a
money.
mess.
It's the worst thing you could imagine could happen on a shoot, you know. Um, but but it's like people be like, but why didn't the photographer know? And it's like he's he or she is I'm saying he because the person I'm thinking of is a guy. the the dude who messed up on this is a guy. But they just didn't they don't know. They
So
don't
Timmy,
think
did they
they don't know
rehire
the
you?
details. Yeah, no, I never got high. I never got flown out to China for 20 grand. Yeah.
Uh,
No, I always think about the I
Well, I like what you were saying with all that because when I was explaining the classes, a
yeah.
lot of people think, a lot of people think that, and we get students from ateliers a lot, which
I should cut you off, and I should say really quickly, we got to move on to the third one. It's a really short one. It's going to be like a
Okay.
15-20. So it's hashtag Romulus Hive, hashtag Drawing Hive and Visual Arts Passage. Please post your work and seriously post it now while we're jabbing. Um, sorry, John, it's fun.
No, it's okay. I was just going to say that it's like a lot of people, I've always thought that like one of my jobs as, certainly creating a program is coming up with a way to help people organize and prioritize what's important to learn about picture making. And again, I really like to refer things to picture making because that's really what we are, whether you're a painter or an illustrator, a visual storyteller. And it's not about learning, again, I come in here, I love coming in here on Thursday night and practicing my push-ups and sit-ups of practicing my skill of drawing, which I've been doing for a long period of time. And but that's not the end all be all. Being able to copy something is not it's not that important, especially with technologies. I mean, you can do so much digitally or with camera or whatever.
Yeah.
You can cover a lot of ground there. But I like to think that our program focuses on the essentials to be creative, to develop personal voice, and to understand the industry at a super high level. But most importantly is to really focus in on what's important of being a painter or an illustrator. Again, we get students from ateliers, we get students from the top art and design schools. Understanding the industry and how you can personally fit into it is usually like a void for most people. They just don't understand how it works, especially the gallery world, Cassandra. I mean, it's like it's an anomaly to everybody. It's just like I don't understand it. And even, being in it for a long period of time, there's no rhyme or reason how a lot of different galleries function. They don't all function the same way. And so you have to learn about the industry and you have to learn how to be beneficial for the people that are hiring. That's what a portfolio does. A portfolio represents you as an artist and when was it? I guess it was when Lauren was here. Somebody asked, I actually know the person who asked this question, asked, what's it like for older people getting into the industry? Somebody has, it's like, this is their second career, that type of thing. And Laura's answer was beautiful. How would I know?
Yeah, like why would she care? Why would she
No,
know?
but how would they know? I mean, people, most of the time you communicate by email. Art directors
Yeah,
care about your portfolio. They care about the work that's in it. It's a really honest industry that way. It's competitive, but it's
yeah,
still very honest that way. It's like race, religion, location.
yeah. It doesn't matter,
It's not that. It's your portfolio.
right?
And so that's why I wanted our program, number one, to be affordable, and number two, to be the right information that will help you the quickest in the industry.
I have
I'll
a
stop
question.
talking about it.
I have a question. One thing I will say before that is some people will look at our classes and be like, this doesn't feel affordable. It is super affordable when you compare it to people giving the same information. It is it is crazy affordable. It's almost a bad business model affordable.
I
Um
would go one stretch further and say
it's
it's
yeah.
more than almost.
It's a bad business. It's a
Almost is
terrible, it's a
giving a
horrible, horrible
a lot of credit.
Yeah, we're doing it. It's a terrible business model, people. No, my question was going to be, what was something, it's for you and Cassandra, what was something that you thought would be incredibly important to being good that turned out you're like not important at all or not as important?
I'll let Cassandra go first.
I mean, in college, it was to have a physical portfolio, and I have to say I didn't use it once because everything just immediately shifted.
When did you graduate?
2003.
Okay.
That was everything was changing at that time.
So
Mhm.
you had this like gigantic folder you were carrying
Yeah, and
around.
they're like,
Yeah.
make it unique, make it stand out, and I
Did
did,
you
and
have it?
then
Was it like cowhide?
like I sewed it. It was looked cool, but I mean, it was
Yeah.
this thing that like,
Yeah. So I wasn't that far off.
no, you really weren't. You really weren't. I do love my crafts, y'all. Um,
Yeah.
But I think the one thing I did want to say in the midst of all this, like being an alum of Illustration Academy, which is kind of like the what this school came from, is the big thing for this that is really great is being able to be around other people who figured out how to break in because it's really scary and overwhelming, and it seems like there's just no way in the door when you're starting out. And like, yeah, you need to have skill and like you can work on that here, but also just knowing somebody, knowing several people who are able to get through the door and they can tell you what are the steps to get there. Like, it may take you a while to get through those steps to then be able to get through the door, but to even
Yeah.
know what steps are worth putting time on, I think that is huge. And so when John approached me about like creating the fine arts program, I was most excited about the fact that like I got to be a part of helping people understand that there was a path because I was dying to know a path when I was breaking in and
Right.
I thought that there was no place for me and the kind of art I wanted to do. And then once I realized that there was a place, it's so exciting to be able to help encourage and push people towards a path that works.
Well, that you mentioned skill right up front, and it wasn't till I was like, I was already working in the industry at a pretty high level when I figured out that, oh my God, skill, which I thought everything was about getting better, be a better art drawer, be a better picture maker, which is hugely helpful. But skill, you can be a really good illustrator and have very limited picture making skill. Um, if you can compose, you don't need to be able to draw at a super high level, depending on the resolution you want to work. If you have a great idea and you have just enough skill to get that idea to tell that story or concept, convey it, you can be a good illustrator. Uh, idea will trump facility every time. Now there's people that are just have you marvel. You look at, I'm sitting here doing this thing, this helmet, and I'm thinking about Greg Manchester doing this. There's a guy that's got incredible
Right.
skill, and he has both,
Yeah.
and he can lean into it. And so, and there's people that have both, but there's some that work at a very high level where it's not about super high polish and finish. It's their skill is the ability to convey an idea.
Yeah.
I will say in terms to Gregory Manches, because I got to meet him at Icon when we went for Illustration Academy, and I just like point blank was like, "I'm so sorry. I know you don't know me, but I'm overwhelmed. I'm graduating. Like, do you have any advice?" And he was like, "Oh yeah, I totally do. Just keep making art." And he said when he got out of school, he was mediocre. He was middle of the pack. He wasn't the best by any means. He wasn't the
Yep.
worst. But he said the people that there was a lot of people who were way better than him and they gave up. And so he was like, the best thing I can tell you is find a way to keep doing art so that you become better. And he was like, I look back at some of the stuff I did when I was young and I cringe. And but now I'm very proud of the work I do. And it took a lot of time to get there because I just kept making work. And that's just like a mantra that kind of always ran through my head. Just keep painting, keep drawing, keep creating. And I got better because when I graduated, I wasn't ready to go out there
Yeah.
yet.
It's it.
Greg was good enough to get hired by Hellman Studios
Yeah.
by Gary Kelly. And
Yeah.
he
Yeah.
worked with Gary for years
But
before.
like how comforting is that to know, because I think the thing that I've always found, like, because it's funny, like I don't really talk about it. I talk about working in photography a lot, but I've assisted some of the best people. I'm very proud of this. Like it's really, it's not just a couple of photographers, there's a lot of really talented photographers. And the one thing that always like kept me going was that like born with talent, like you can't control born with talent. Like you're born
Mm-mm.
with it. And like, if you're born with it, okay, well, lucky you. Oftentimes those people have a whole host of other problems and hurdles that are going to be equally challenging as acquiring talent. Um, but the one thing I always knew I could control is like not quitting. That like every day you get to make a choice. Like, do you quit today,
Yeah.
or do you like keep doing it? And it's like, and if in the back of my head, I always knew if I just choose not to quit, like as long as I want to do this, that was the biggest thing. That was the biggest factor for me. Do I enjoy doing this? And as long as I enjoy doing this, I can choose to continue doing it. And if I continue doing it, I will find success. Um, and I think that that's like Ray Bonilla talks about that pretty, not specifically that, but coming out of school and not, he was not praised at school. There's a whole communicate. He talks about it. He talked about it in communication arts. He was like, I was not the star student,
Hmm.
you know. Meanwhile, he's being interviewed by communication arts.
Yeah,
you know.
he's downplaying it a little bit.
Yeah, but
I had one of Ray's
everybody's hard on themselves though.
yeah, I had one of
Like
Ray's instructors call me,
yeah,
who he was a chair of the illustration program named Chuck Pyle at the Academy of Art in San Francisco. And he goes, I have a student that someday that's going to be teaching for you. That was 10 years before he started teaching with us. And he was referring to Ray.
That's so cool.
Isn't that cool?
It is cool.
The
But I
person,
think there's also great comfort in knowing that like it's teachable, it's learnable. Like
yeah,
skill is learnable. And I think we always push like born talent, like to me, we're mentioning, and that's not like that's such a small factor, and that has nothing to do with
yeah,
ambition and passion and
yeah. I have
talent,
I've no
talent gets
interest in
run
it.
over in our industry.
Yeah. I have no interest in born talent. I mean I appreciate it. It's fine, it's great, but it doesn't make me excited like people who like get dirty and like grind it out for way longer than anybody logically should have, and like despite all odds, like kind of found ways to, cheer themselves on, or like kind of like call it a day and be like, well, tomorrow I'll try to feel better about this. Um, because like, I don't know that I relate to that often. Um, And so,
Me too. I want to hear
whereas
that the
I have,
struggle, pushing through the
yeah,
struggle works.
I don't relate at all to people who just like are like overnight success.
I don't
And
either.
most people who are like overnight successes, they weren't. Most of the time, it's just because it feels like it.
You just
Glenn Powell, we all think that he was an overnight hunk that got abs
Back to
overnight.
Glen Powell again, huh?
Yeah, everything goes back to Glenn Powell, Cassandra. We all want to pretend like he all of a sudden got abs overnight, and we are all like, "Oh my God, he's the sexiest man in America." But Glenn Powell, I guarantee he had like 15 years of like, man, should I quit?
God, Timmy,
Yeah.
I'm so glad I can ask this question.
Yeah.
Who's Glenn Powell?
Oh,
Oh my
you know
gosh.
what? He took a photo with your second
I
cousin.
know who he is. I'm kidding.
Yeah,
Oh my
no, I'm
gosh.
just kidding, but I don't know. I relate to that a lot, and like
Look,
it's it's like
I
what do you?
mean, I'm excited that I can say I have 21 shows this year. I also want to say I've gotten rejected a lot. A
Yeah,
lot. I have so much rejection. It's insane. And like that's okay because it makes the future rejection hurt a little less. But like don't define yourself by the rejections.
oh,
It's part of the
yeah,
trade.
I need to find this because it's from years ago. It's probably from like 7 or 8 years ago. The best screenwriter at the Academy Awards, when people really cared about the Academy Awards, it was that long ago. Um, he won best screenplay. I don't remember what the film was. Um, but he was like in his 80s. He had never won an award for writing a screenplay.
Wow.
And he went up and
What was it?
that's why I need to look it. I just need to look it up. But the speech I thought was it was the best line ever. He said, "I guess I'm a late bloomer." And I thought that was so sweet. Yeah. It loses a lot of punch when I can't name the screenwriter or the movie. but but that was a moment I enjoyed.
Cassandra, you said something there that I think is super important just about learning art. Um, most of what we do is acquired knowledge. I think almost all of what we do is acquired knowledge. I got such a kick out of like the very first art program, and I was so fortunate to go to the illustrators workshop. We're just legendary instructors there and legendary illustrators. And I would ask somebody a question and then ask the same question to another artist. And I would always get the same answer. And what I took away from that, and one of the few astute things I did at that age, was this can be learned because they all know the same information. They
Yeah.
all,
Yeah, what are the odds that all these people were born
yeah,
with this
right.
information?
No, there's a
Yeah,
consistency to this.
yeah,
This has to be acquired knowledge.
yeah.
And again, all of I mean, there's, I don't know a successful artist, especially illustrator, that didn't work really hard at it.
Yeah.
I don't care how good, how smart you are, how much capability you have. It requires a lot of effort. But if you're doing, and again, I always love to lean back on this, and you're talking about Cassandra and all the shows she's got coming up. I know she enjoys it.
I
I mean,
do.
there's no way I could do what I do day in and day out if I didn't like it. It would just, I would just be done. It's like there's easier there's things I could do easier for money for sure. But it's it's very gratifying, but you got to like it. I mean, if you don't like it, don't do it.
Yeah. I read Hootie and the Blowfish, like I'm dating myself in my childhood year, but they had 1,300 rejections before they got their first album made.
Wow.
And so, and you know, they now people know who they are and like, you know, part of 90s pop culture. Just to think like to get there, it took 1,300
And
rejections. Apparently they kept it in a binder.
I'm glad you said that because that would be somebody I would think was, wow, they were kind of an overnight success. They just showed up and were all of a sudden huge. But
Yeah.
that's
Oh,
Nope.
everybody start posting your work in about we're gonna head over to Instagram in about I jumped the gun a little bit. You all have a few more minutes. I'm sorry. I'm getting wound up. But I do have some exciting news. Xander did some internet sleuthing and found my guy. It's David Seidler, and he wrote The King's Speech. Great movie.
Oh, I love that movie.
And the
That
line
makes me so
was,
happy.
my father always said to me I would be a late bloomer.
Oh,
Yeah,
thanks,
very
Sander, for
sweet.
that.
I appreciate that. Thank you. You made me look less dumb.
You didn't look dumb even in the speech, but it's helpful to just give it more
Yeah,
depth,
it adds a
more
little bit more
gravitas.
layer. Yeah. Um, if you are slow to posting to Instagram, I would start now though. Yeah. Yeah. So do you all have a busy week of painting ahead of you?
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah. I am my kids are back to school, so I'm back on a busier schedule now. So
Mhm.
lots of shows lined up. And it's just I always think like my year is set and then I hear from like different galleries and then I get excited and I say, all right, I'm gonna fit that one in too. So I
Yeah.
have one, the preview just went out today for Arch Enemy for Spectrum, and that's I had to pick a color and paint from that. So I painted um a fox as the Pomona goddess, the goddess of like fruit and harvest.
orange.
Uh-huh.
The orange, yep.
There you go.
That was a good challenge for me. And then I've been working on another piece for Arch Enemy for their October show, or is it September show? September show. I guess it opens, it's kind of they open start to the preview goes out kind of mid late month. And that one is Imaginary Menagerie. So I'm working on a mythical animal for that. So I don't, and I refurbished an antique tabletop and like pulled it off the base, so it's just the
Wow.
circular table, and so I'm painting on that. So that's fun. That's what I'm working on this week.
Nice.
You know, what today is for me, or tomorrow is for me, Cassandra.
What?
Varnish day.
Yeah, that's always exciting.
What does varnish day entail, John?
Varnishing.
No, but I mean for like the
It's the
less
last
informed.
step, the last besides framing and shipping.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, well, this is on, these are, the two that I'm doing are on cradle panel, so there's no framing. Um, so varnish is the last thing. I have the wires on the back. All I got to do is do the varnish and they're off to the gallery.
that's awesome. Oh, John, I was thinking of you. I'm going to be doing my next piece. They have a set size of 24 by 24. And so and they don't want frames. So I'm doing a cradled panel.
Oh, good for you. You like to save money on supplies. You don't
Yep.
have to pay for a frame, or you don't have
Right.
to build one in your case.
Yep.
Fine. Oh man, I was just thinking I wasn't gonna have very much fun doing this, but I'm starting to draw this helmet and it's like it's pretty seductive.
It's cool.
Really.
Yeah, it looks good.
It's fun to kind of dig into it. The fact I'm
Nice.
doing it, I probably need to bring color into it, but I
You
don't,
don't, I don't know. I don't think you need to.
it looks better in real life than it does there. It seems, I don't know if it's the angle. It seems it's more contrasty in real life.
Good and contrasty from here.
Cassandra, my second date with Gianna before, when we first met
Mm-hmm.
was on Halloween. And I just you both are so like into like making things. Like I'm assuming you make all your own costumes, right?
Um, not always for my kids, but yeah, in general.
Yes. Gianna always did that. And this is so funny. This is second date. I don't know Gianna hardly at all. And it's Halloween and she's like, I'm dressing up as a fox. And this is like 2014, 2000, like probably 2014. So you have this idea of what a 20 something person dresses up for Halloween. And I would say that this is the height of the trend of doing costumes that make you look good.
Uh-huh, uh-huh.
Not doing costumes that are like funny and cool, but like,
Oh, I always went for funny weird.
okay, this is the height of vanity costumes, I would say, right?
Okay. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I'm being really choice with my words here. Um, but we meet up and all of Gianna's friends have chosen vanity costumes, right? They're
Mm-hmm.
all they're all everybody 20 something person dressed, they're all those
Yeah. Yeah,
things,
yeah, yeah.
right? Use your
Everything has a
imagination.
shorter skirt version of
Thank
what
you,
they are.
Cassandra.
Yeah.
Thank you. Um, uh, and Gianna has like the most just accurate fox costume.
I love her for that so much.
like like full-blown orange face paint, like the whole you said orange, John, and I immediately was like, oh yeah. Yeah, just true to the art of costuming. And
Good for Gianna.
and you go all the way through college. If you look at every Halloween, that was always the thing. Like it'd be all the typical Halloween costumes, and then Gianna was dressed up as this is why she was so good for Drawing Hive, dressed up as Edward Scissorhands.
Yes.
She always went weird.
Mm-hmm.
Always. Yeah.
Oh, I made a quality Oompa Loompa costume.
That's weird.
Yeah, like homemade, did the wig,
Yeah.
homemade the wig and everything. And that's when I
Yeah.
found out that E-Man was scared of Oompa Loompas. And he was just like, oh my gosh, I cannot handle this.
That's pretty funny. Wow. All right. People start posting your work fast. We're gonna head over there in 3 minutes. So snap the photo, post it to Instagram. It's hashtag Romulus Hive, hashtag Drawing Hive and add Visual Arts Passage. We're gonna show it on the show. And yeah, I'm gonna start opening it up any minute now. So
Oh, you know what
post.
was fun? I did, I guess this was like a week ago now, but Rebecca came over, like Rebecca and Felicity Rebecca.
Mhm.
Oh
And
wow, cool.
yeah, so she lives here in Richmond too. And so we had like to get together and she brought her sketchbook and Felicity's sketchbook and then she was like, I want to see your cardboard because we never really show it to each other and we just like switched hands of stuff and then it was really fun to like look at the same nights and see how we all handled it and just looking across the board and just lining them up like
That's
that
so
was
cool.
so much fun.
I always forget that you know our most famous listener.
Before
We're gonna get her as a guest. Like we'll have a night. We'll
Timmy,
have
Oh my God,
Felicity
that would be
on.
so much
I
fun.
was just talking to Rebecca about getting Felicity on.
That
Felicity,
would
let's make
be
this happen.
that would be so much fun.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Timmy, before you switch, I want
Yeah.
you to zoom in on Cassandra's. I want to see Cassandra's.
Oh yeah, let's do it. Oh wow.
Nice.
Yeah, I don't know if it,
Cool. Whoa. Whoa.
so
Very nice.
That's awesome.
very
Love it.
fun.
Beautiful.
I'm gonna zoom in on yours now, John.
Yeah,
It's all fair.
that's so cool.
That's great.
Wish I
Really
could.
awesome. Wow. That's
Your
great.
lights that you captured there so beautifully. They're so delicate.
I want to go see this now.
Just drive over there, right?
Well, I want to go see the movie.
Oh, I was like, you live really close to John, so you can go see
John
it,
knew
man.
John knew I wasn't talking about his drawing.
The movie.
He's talking about the movie.
You're like, we work together and live real close, but
Uh,
we don't need to
that,
visit each other's
that
house.
would be so funny if I called John and was like, "Can I come over and look at
I just want to look at it.
it?" Yeah. That would be so weird. John, would you say no, maybe tomorrow?
Yeah.
Yeah. You'd be like,
Actually, Timmy, I was kind of like telling you at the beginning, my headache's gone away. I had a headache.
yeah,
I didn't think I would get through. I thought I would stop
yeah,
going, but I would have said that, no, Timmy, I have a headache.
yeah. Even though the headache's gone. To me, I've just recently recovered from a headache.
Because now he
Um,
knows he doesn't have to put you off. He doesn't have to use his excuse that he had already come up with very
yeah,
quickly.
but just so people know, sometimes we have headaches and we still do the show.
Oh, it's true. I have.
Yeah, yeah. We
Because
have,
I like it here.
yeah. It's fun.
Sometimes we have headaches after we do the show.
Yeah, sometimes we do.
Oh, I
too.
did this show with the wrong hand
Uh,
because I had had hand surgery.
I forgot about that era of the Hive. That was like the hardest it's ever been. We went like 2 full weeks without Cassandra's support.
No, I was here, I drew, and then what
Oh,
blew me away was the amount of crowd support, and they used their non-dominant hands too. It's like a
yeah.
non-dominant hand night.
That's see, that's you have complete control over our audience, Cassandra.
No, it's because they all are amazing.
Yeah.
Made my
Yeah,
night.
but
That's
you
why I'm
have
talking
like
about it.
crowd sway. So, all right.
Timmy and I got nothing.
We have nothing.
Oh, not true.
Yeah.
It's like,
People,
I hope Cassandra shows up.
God, yeah, every week. We talk about it more often than you think.
Like have actual meetings about, okay, so at some point Cassandra's not going to show up. What are we going to do?
Yeah, a Cassandra succession plan.
I told you guys were stuck with me.
Oh yeah. No. Yeah. Oh
I'm
shoot.
happy with that. We're teaching together Sunday night.
Yep,
Yep.
yep. Always fun.
Got some really good students and it's a lot of fun.
I think we're gonna be
I thought I was going to have no fun doing this and I've had a blast. So,
that's great.
It looks really good. Is this wall worthy, John?
um, I don't know. I got it.
You know, like behind your head worthy.
I-
Like
I
whenever
could-
we're
I
in
could-
class, that's when I get to see behind John's head all the drawings.
I could still screw it up.
No.
I think I'm
Okay.
just going to leave it alone. I'm not going to try to do anything else like bring color or anything in.
I will say it is fun with all the oranges. I've been on
And-
an orange kick, obviously.
I'll have to look. I can't. It's hard for me to like to do this and look at my computer at the same time.
All right.
Ooh.
We got some good stuff tonight.
Yeah, we do.
Wow.
always
All
have
the
good
time
stuff.
lapse. Gotta skip the time lapse. Sorry, but that's awesome. I'll share the time lapse.
Ooh, Charlotta, that's lovely.
It was awesome.
Oh, it's great.
Whoa.
Wow. Oh yeah. That's awesome.
Oh, good
Some-
drool too.
Yeah, xenomorph drool. Hashtag xenomorph drool.
Look at that.
Oh, John, that's so
Whoa.
good.
Whoa.
Wow,
Beautiful.
Addie.
Yeah, people are getting that light right.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's, typical visual arts passion student. Yeah.
Yeah, which by the way, VAP students, I opened the chat up on Zoom. If some of you said really nice things on Discord, can you say it on Zoom again? That'd mean a lot to me. This is awesome. Awesome.
Oh,
Padma.
that's fantastic.
Here you go, Padma.
Ooh, good gesture with that too. Really nice.
Wow. Awesome.
Really fun.
Whoa.
Oh,
Oh, that's fun.
great
great.
color palette.
Amazing.
That's
Really
cool.
nice.
Ooh,
Oh,
nice.
that's lovely,
That's
Deborah.
awesome.
Wow. Oh,
Beautiful.
delicate.
Mm-hmm.
Great. Whoa.
Nice, Jessica.
Way to go, Jessica.
Oh, it looks-
Nicole.
wow, that's
That's
got
great.
good movement, Nicole. Great drawing.
Nice.
Okay, on Thursday.
There we go,
Nice.
Rebecca.
Go, Rebecca. Oh, that's fun.
Ooh, I like how you handled all the steam.
Yeah.
Steam?
That's
Wow.
awesome, Chuck.
Nice, Chuck.
Oh, nice.
Ooh,
I
Xander.
love it, Xander.
That's cool.
Nice.
Wow, Julian.
Oh,
I
Xander
love this
and
palette.
Julian killed that.
Yeah.
Lovely. Ooh, Julian has a nice signature. Do you see that?
I
Look
was
at
just
that.
gonna say, I think
That's
I'm gonna,
beautiful.
you know what? I don't have the thing hooked up right now, but it's, whoa.
Amazing.
That's
Thank you.
great. That's awesome.
Oh, that's really good one, Jessica.
Love it.
Oh, nice.
Oh, that's
Nice stuff.
great. Great job.
Awesome.
I love it.
Um,
Good stuff.
That's cool.
I love that.
Oh, wow.
Awesome.
Who is that?
That's
Nice.
new. Eli, welcome.
Welcome.
Thank you for
Lovely.
joining.
Terry, that's awesome.
Oh, wow, Terry.
Look at that color. Great
That's a
job.
warm welcome. When John says, "Who is that?" That's
I'm gonna say, hey,
That's-
Terry, thank you. And you know what I'm talking about.
oh yeah, Terry. Yeah.
Mhm.
Everybody got
I have
everybody
both
got
the little
kitted out.
books out. They're great.
We got kitted out by Terry. Is awesome.
I know. Big thank you note coming.
Thank you. Awesome.
Oh,
stuff.
that's fun. Yes, great job.
That's great.
I
That's
like that you put
awesome.
them together. I should have
Yeah.
done that. That's brilliant.
They work together really
Ooh.
well. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
This stuff
That's
is
really
so
nice.
good. Nice.
Good job.
Oh,
Oh,
man,
that's
love that, Eric.
lovely. Got great textures with
Oh, that's
that
beautiful.
also. Really, really nice.
I tell you what,
Very
I'm
elegant.
impressed is how well everybody handled that helmet and
Mm-hmm.
got the head fitting in the helmet right.
Oh, I love that. June.
So
Great job.
Nice.
that the little
June-
sister? Is that him?
Yeah, she's
Oh
7.
my gosh.
It's Drawing Hive freshman class right there. Watch
Oh
out.
my gosh.
The
Great
freshmen are
job,
always
June.
getting fast.
So it's gonna be
Yeah.
it's like the Schweitzer dynasty.
Yeah, exactly.
They're coming after you.
Yeah. Yeah. The Schweitzers are like
That's
a
a great
Roman
drawing.
Empire. Awesome stuff.
Really nice.
I love that aesthetic.
That's beautiful.
It really
Fantastic.
is.
The funny thing about that one, Xander, is also equally looks
Really
like
nice.
it's like somebody in Renaissance garbs.
Love it,
With her
Padma. That's
outfit.
awesome. That's so fun.
Well done.
Well done. Yeah. Nice stuff.
Really
Nice.
nice. Oh, I love
That's
that. You've
so
got
cool.
so much detail in that too.
Oh man, like an alien children's book. I love it.
That's cool.
Yeah. Good stuff.
Great job.
Nice.
Really neat.
Wow.
Oh, that's nice.
Mm-hmm. Good job.
Wow.
Ooh, fantastic.
Way to go.
Like it says, I threw everything at it.
Nice.
That's good one, Nicole.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Awesome.
That's so cool. I love that he does it on the post-it notes.
That's amazing. Wow. That's also awesome. Wow. Dang.
Great job.
Love it.
Ooh.
That's a nice
Cool.
drawing.
Yeah,
Really
good
is.
job, Paul.
Yeah, nice composition to it.
Mm-hmm.
How's that?
Really nice. Ooh,
Oof.
Way to go,
that's so
AJ.
good, AJ.
That's awesome.
That's fantastic, Felicity.
Isn't it wild? Felicity has a style. I think that's so cool.
It's so cool.
Yeah.
Well, come on,
Oh,
she's
dang.
almost there, or is she?
Ooh, Randy.
Yeah.
That's
like-
awesome.
That really is awesome.
Wow. Good
Is
job.
is
Awesome
Felicity
stuff.
13 yet?
Yeah, she just turned 13.
Of course she's
Yeah.
got a style. She's 13. Come on.
She's like deep into her career.
Look at that.
Wow, Melissa.
Wow.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Wow.
That's beautiful too.
It is. Loving those
It
blues.
is.
Oh, that's
Yes.
killer.
Really is.
That
Oh,
too.
that's cool.
I love it.
Great one, Padma.
Mm-hmm.
Good stuff. Oh,
You got a lot
It was so
done.
much fun.
Got a lot done.
Our people, the Hive loves the xenomorph.
How could you not?
Yeah.
AJ, that was beautiful. Nice,
I love it.
Nicole.
This
Good
is so
job. Good job.
good.
Like a little sketch at the bottom.
Another good drawing.
Yeah, no kidding.
I really like your line work there, Paul.
Wow.
Very beautiful. Always fantastic.
Killer drawing by Gary.
Great job.
Awesome stuff.
Really nice.
Yup. Wow.
Oh, good job.
Yeah.
I'm always like
Oh.
trying to figure out all the materials everyone's using.
Awesome stuff. Nice, Terry.
Oh, that's great, Derry.
That is so much
Chuck.
fun, Chuck.
Fantastic. Chuck also has a really cool signature.
Now, Timmy, I think there's another life to what we're doing here. It's just amazes me that so many people have been here so consistently. A lot of good artists that have produced so much work. I mean,
Uh-huh.
there's got to be a bigger story to it than this. There's another.
Oh, that was
It's
great.
just
So-
amazing. It amazes me every night, all the really different, creative, and really well done work.
I want to do a
Good
drawing
job,
hive show.
Karen.
Someday we got to do an IRL drawing hive show. Like a group show. I think that would be so cool.
It'd be very cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think it would be awesome. We got to pick a city, do it.
Oh, look at that.
Richmond.
Well, let's do it in Richmond. Let's do it.
That's fantastic. Great perspective on that previous one, by the way.
Yeah.
Oh, Joe, that's lovely.
Oh my God, I love
Fantastic.
that. That's awesome.
Beautiful.
Great
Man.
job.
A lot of people tonight.
Everyone did so good.
Everybody killed it. Everybody was on their A game.
I don't know if
Cool.
it's a lot of people or
That's
a lot of
good.
people posted. It's crazy.
Really
Kind of
good.
both. A little bit of both. Awesome stuff. Just a reminder, the sailing's tomorrow. It's hashtag or
Ooh,
it's a code chirp.
great line work there.
Amazing.
Oh, Peter. Awesome. Look
Killer.
at the steam.
So good.
No, like spit.
I was wondering if he was gonna make a caricature of the alien.
I keep waiting to see if anybody's gonna put a
Yeah.
top hat on him. You know, like
Yeah. I baited that on Discord quite a bit. I shared that the Spaceballs alien.
ooh,
Yeah.
you gotta go Spaceballs.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Have we done
Nice.
Spaceballs yet?
No, but we should do a Mel Brooks night.
Oh,
Yeah,
Fun.
we could. I mean, we could do a straight like.
We could do just a Spaceballs
Yeah.
night.
Might be safer.
Yeah. Yeah, probably.
I was like, did that just come out of Timmy's mouth? It was like,
Yeah.
Ooh, wow. Gary, awesome.
nice.
Nice. Good stuff.
Oh, that's cool. I like how
Fun
you
drawing.
handled that.
Nice, Peter.
I'm telling you, that character just looks like she's in Renaissance garb. Don't you
It's
guys
so
see
cool. Yeah, I was thinking Princess Bread. Yeah,
it?
100%. This is a lot of stuff. Awesome
Wow,
stuff.
Joe, that's awesome.
Oh my
Wow.
gosh. Look at that.
Wow.
It's really amazing. I'm sorry. I know people are wanting to watch the DNC, so I'm
Where's
trying
my
to speed
doodly?
up.
Oh, that's right.
I'm trying to go faster.
Oh,
Okay,
that's
cool.
so good.
That's awesome. That's our last one.
We're gonna end
Everybody,
on
that was amazing.
Well
Such a
deserved,
yeah,
Peter.
good one to end on, visual arts
Yep.
passage student.
Hey,
Yeah.
thank you, everybody. Thank you, Cassandra and Timmy. And gosh,
Mhm.
please consider enrolling.
Yep. There's no better time to commit to your future in the arts than right now. There really isn't. Do it. All
All
right.
right, everybody.
Have a great week.
Fun night.
right.
See ya.
Night, everybody.